Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors, and if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, HOA wants us to come to the board to defend ourselves? Sure will. This happened a few years back. Our HOA has always been known to be sneaky and to flat out give false accusations on homeowners, especially in this day with security cameras, and we can pretty easily spot out who the investigators are. Most recently, a homeowner was told she was supposed to get approval before she started re-shingling her roof. The thing is, her roof has not been re-shingled in 10 years and she had no plans to do it, things like that. Call it just a mistake, call it malicious, well, a few years ago we had our time to shine. It was a simple morning, I was still temporarily living with my father at the time. Well, one morning we decided to go out to get groceries when we found that his pickup truck had been smashed into. Nothing was taken, it was just smashed into. In fact, I still have pictures from that day just before the cops arrived. The cops arrived, they do some investigating and found that a rock inside the truck was from a house down the street. Unfortunately, they couldn't get them to admit to the crime, nor could they prove it was even them. Understandable, criminals will grab things that they find, but it was suspicious. The rock, I should say, was a special kind of rock that no one else in the neighborhood had, some round polished type. Very unique. After this incident, I installed a security camera on his house. Well, not 2 days later we got an HOA violation for a vehicle I saw that needs to be removed. Just 2 days later. I'm confused how such a letter could have been written up so fast, but I started to suspect foul play. One day we were home and had a knock at the door. The HOA actually called a code inspection officer. The week had not even been over yet, so the parts to fix the truck were not delivered yet, we were not paying expedited shipping for damages we didn't cause, and the truck was so old, insurance would probably just total it. The truck is just sentimental to him, so he was not going to get rid of it. However, it still ran great. Code inspection tells my father that vehicles which don't run need to be removed. They both stop talking and take a second, and both almost say at the same time, "Don't I know you?" Turns out the code inspection officer went to the same church as my father and knew each other. This is not the malicious compliance yet, we are only just beginning. The officer tells my father if he can show the truck starts, he's going to write it up as being in code. My father starts the truck just fine as the engine is not damaged. He tells him to go on with his day and to have a good one. At this point we are furious because we are starting to suspect the HOA may have did this, as there is no way they could have possibly known so fast. Unfortunately, our turn of the street had no neighbors with security cameras until I installed one on our house. So it caught nothing specific to our incident. Down the street these people supposedly broke into a car as well, but the camera on their house was unable to see anything. Damn! Here is where the fun begins. Fast forward a couple months after nothing happened, I decided to install a new dash cam in my car. I found a good one that uses very little power off the battery and can activate if there is any bumps to the car, even if the car is off. It just needs to be wired straight to the battery for this, it is a thinkware. A few days later we got a violation notice for our mailbox being crooked. It wasn't crooked much, but I do remember it recently having an angle. Odd. I could just fix it, but my car was aiming straight at the mailbox. I am thinking, no, this couldn't be possible. It only records if there is a bump. I take out the memory card and apparently I either did not configure it correctly, but it was recording the whole time, it never went into sleep mode. I watched as the investigator walks up to the mailbox and pushes it crooked and then writes down on his tablet his findings and takes a picture for records. I am appalled at what I see, I have the proof I needed. Now, for the malicious compliance, they wanted us to come to the board meeting and present what is going on at our address. We haven't told them yet that we had the pictures, but to summarize real fast how our HOA works, the board hires an outside company to do the grunt work, let's call it Bantry Management. We go to the meeting and sit down. Bantry Management has the one in control of our account. And I swear to you, she looked like a Karen, so the name fits for her. As time goes by in the meeting, we get to discuss what is happening at our house. We present the timelines and tell them about the truck being smashed, and just 2 days later we get a letter. We ask what dates the investigator was out for that time. However, Karen refuses to answer it. She argues ignorantly that we should keep better care of our stuff, as if it was our fault. And then comes the mailbox incident. We tell her that we have reasons to believe that the investigator is the one that is causing damages to our property and is harassing us. Karen denies this and says that is impossible and that she knows him personally. Oh, is that so? I ask. She says, yes, why? I then pull out my laptop out of my book bag that I had been hiding, open it up to the video file already loaded and show it to the entire board. Enter Exhibit A. I said out loud and played the video. Karen's face is bright red. She says that is not her investigator. I then also pulled out the letter about the mailbox, which was complete with date. It matched the crooked on timestamp on the video. She still tries to claim it is not them.
No, it's a coincidence. I'm sorry, but you have a vandal and it is not us.
It's not? I let the video play, knowing she is falling into a pit hard right now. As the man walks towards my car, you can plain as day see Bantry Management on his shirt. She is no longer red now, she is white as a ghost. The board looks over at her and asks what she has to say about this. Karen is silent and has nothing except a few noises, which I assume was her brain trying to comprehend what just happened. I then proceeded to bring up a previous case which I happened to remember before we left for the meeting, where we had a grass violation beside our house. Now, this area they were claiming was actually not visible from the sidewalk due to the house's shape. I asked point blank, has at any time your investigators walked on our property illegally trespassing? Knowing as per their rules they are not allowed to do that, Karen is visibly shaking now and mutters out,
No, of course not.
With her head down, unable to maintain eye contact with me. She probably feels that I have more evidence, but unfortunately I didn't. So I ask again. She asks,
why?
Our neighbor, whom are lawyers, literally next door to us where the side of this wall was, stands up and says, actually that's not true. I have witnessed one of your investigators go between our houses and poke around the trash bins. Bingo! I did not even realize she had this information. I couldn't have asked for more better timing. Karen at this point just starts arguing with our neighbors about no proof. The board proceeds to apologize for the incident and they were going to discuss what is going to happen in the future about this. At that point, the meeting is over. A month passes and we get a letter that a new person will be in charge for Bantry Management and new investigators. She was fired that night. Since she was fired, my father tells me we only get the occasional blip of errors, but they correct it immediately and don't bother us really anymore. And guys, after we have read so many HOA stories, I am really curious, would you ever in your life be willing to live in an HOA neighborhood if your dream house would be in it? Let us know in the comments, and while you're at it, I would really appreciate it if you could post a truckload of star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance, your help is very much appreciated. And the next one is titled, Don't come on your property, be a jerk, you might end up in traction. Many years ago I had a neighbor who for some reason did not like us. I have a strong suspicion due to his occupation and temper it was due to my interracial marriage. That is the only thing that makes sense, as we offered help, brought baked goods, etc. This was our first house, moving in as mid-20s with a newborn, and we did all we could to make sure we were good neighbors. This guy moved in after the fact with my female neighbor about 3 months after we purchased. Their driveway and garage made a U between the houses. My newborn and our bedroom window faced his little enclave. He worked early morning shifts at a prison, so he would leave around 3 AM. Not a big deal, right? Well, he had a Chevy truck with a loud exhaust and a Harley. The truck was not that bad, but in the mornings he would often start his Harley in the U, rev it up, warming it up before backing it out. The windows would shake. It was a sit-up in bed in sheer terror moment, including our 9-month-old daughter, a few times per week. After about a month I was outside and saw him working in the yard. I walked over and pointed at the windows, politely saying, "Those are our bedroom and my baby's bedroom windows. When you leave in the morning, can you try and be a little bit more quiet?" His response was,
Do you expect me to push my truck into the street?
I said no, but can you push your Harley maybe? He got very pissy with me and dismissive. Over the next month he started laying an extended driveway to a shed way back in their yard by our fence. The day the concrete people came, he was banging nails at 5 AM making forms. I didn't say anything. Later that day I was mowing my backyard and we had a chain link fence. They asked politely if I would wait to mow near the fence because they didn't want clippings in the cement. I said absolutely no problem, I'm not a dick. Fast forward a few months, still being loud in the morning hours. We have a massive hurricane, Rita, that ends up with my tree falling onto my house, but only about a 2 feet square hole in my roof. The tree is hanging over both of our houses and funnily enough, the roots pulled up his new concrete driveway in about a 6 by 6 foot section. I come back into town while 90% are still evacuated and see the damage. I call his girlfriend, the homeowner, and tell her the situation and that I was going to get a tree crew to remove it. Reminder, I am 24 and they are well in their late 30s. About an hour later, homie calls me and says I am paying for his ripped up concrete. I explain insurance, laws, act of God, etc. But nope, I am the butthole. His house is not garaged other than the concrete and I am paying for it.
Step on my property and I'm putting you in jail.
Full on crazy for about 10 minutes. I get off the phone and my dad and I put a ladder against his house and get on the roof to look for damage. Not a shingle touched by the tree. Sorry, I am non-compliant at this stage. So I went to the Lowe's parking lot where all of the insurance companies had tents and agents. I told the agent what was going on and turns out they also had Allstate. The agent said we will get a crew to remove the tree, but it might take a while. After that we stopped by a crew picking a tree up off a house and watched the bucket truck guy get hit with a tree, big tree, tipping the bucket truck over as the house got cut in half by the falling tree. This is serious life and death work these guys are doing. I thought I saw a man die, but he was okay thankfully. The next day a giant crane comes, and I mean giant, I have pictures I can post. The crew is doing their best to stay on my land and using ridiculously expensive and risky tactics to get it done. Homeboy shows up, parks both of his trucks and Harley under the tree/crane, no worries, they keep working. He then goes and stands literally directly under the tree where the crane is hooked to it. There is guys all over this tree with saws working to remove it from over both our houses. The crane operator gets off and walks over to him saying one of the coolest lines I have ever witnessed. "Sir, I have excellent insurance. It can cover all of your hospital bills. However, I am removing this tree." Butthole neighbor backs his cars out and watches from across the street. A few months later, the guy builds a 6-foot privacy fence from his back fence to the damn curb. He cuts the yards down the line. I so wanted to hang a banner on it saying "Wall of Shame", but my wife would not let me. And guys, have you ever had any neighbors with loud vehicles? You know, compared to Western countries, super noisy vehicles are officially also not allowed here in Thailand, but usually the police does not really give a damn and does not really enforce the laws in regards to that, and actually in regards to many other things as well. However, since many of you know that I am a real motorcycle aficionado, I do have to admit that my motorcycle is pretty loud as well. However, I recently got something like a switch installed on my motorcycle, which means that once I basically press this switch, my bike goes completely silent, which is obviously perfect when you are driving around the neighborhood. I would suggest the same to that Harley guy as well. And the next one is titled Petty Fence Revenge. After a lot of condo living, I finally bought my first fixer-upper house. It is a nice big backyard and I have a dog, so I wanted to put a fence up so I could easily let the dog outside and not worry about her becoming a gator appetizer with the canal in back. I had a survey done, contracted a fence company to put in the fence, and then we decided on PVC privacy fence in the front with locking gates. And the sides are my neighbor's fences on either side and PVC chain link in the back. Here it is common for neighbors to share fence lines. The fence company put in the fence to code with privacy fence being 5 feet back from the front of my house. I went over to check on the fence project, and before I even get out of the car, my neighbor to the right, Karen, is banging on my car window. Karen is upset because the privacy fence now closes her off from a side gate in her fence next to her pool. I'm not living in the house yet as we are still doing renovations, and it did not even register that she had a side gate. Karen says she's going to call the city and complain. I am taken aback, but I wanted to be a good neighbor, so I arranged a meeting between myself, my general contractor, the fence contractor, and Karen. Karen declines to attend the meeting and sends her husband Dick. Dick is adamant that they should still be able to use that side gate even after we explain to him my fence has been done correctly to code and it is a liability for me to have his pool and lawn guys crossing through my property to use that gate. I offer to split the cost of relocating his gate to the front of his house, but Dick refuses. He insists that I pay for his new gate and landscaping that would need to be done. I am trying to be nice, but I am not that nice. We just had our final fence inspection with the city which we passed, and the inspector noted their back fence is too close to the canal and took a bunch of pictures, so they may get in trouble for that. So today, in my act of petty revenge, I locked my side privacy gate and I'm going to plant some hedge plants in front to their side gate. Looking forward to seeing if the city makes them move their back fence. And guys, if you have any interesting neighbor stories to share of your own, then I would encourage you to please head on over to r/ripestories on Reddit, where you can share your own story, and in case it is interesting, there is a good chance that I might read it in a video. Thank you so much. And the next one is titled, We Won, a Story of Hope After 6 Months of Hell. I am so relieved to say that today we won as defendants against a frivolous lawsuit by our neighbors against us. They moved in 2 years before us. They were aware when we moved in that they were unlawfully encroaching on our backyard. We spent months and countless emails, meetings, etc. to discuss correcting their unlawful encroachment. They would not agree to anything less than continuing their unlawful encroachment. A winter storm made the already dilapidated old fence encroachment a clear safety hazard. I got full permission from our local Department of Building and Safety and followed our official county corner record survey to the letter. I got permits even though not required to and got them finalized. The neighbors did everything they could to delay construction, calling the police every time I started until the police told them to stop. They made multiple false reports to the Department of Building and Safety, which were all proven false. They threatened me with a firearm and made racist verbal assaults on our friends and family. They chased my dad with their car and stalked me throughout my days. They brought a criminal case against me from which I was exonerated. When that failed, they filed a small claims lawsuit for $10,000 citing lost wages and pain and suffering. We spent a month preparing for court, which was today. The neighbors escalated to stalking when they were served with our evidence packet. They arrived to small claims court today in full suits, her in 5-inch heels with a fake hot pink Birkin. They alleged that I
defamed his good name by saying he hated LGBTQ people
and caused damage to their property value by correcting their unlawful encroachment. They presented no evidence. The judge found in our favor. It all turned out okay. They were classic bullies, all intimidation and no follow-through. Fingers crossed that this is the end. We are going to move temporarily in hopes that they forget all about us or move themselves. Update: 5 months later, these ridiculous people finally moved away. I cannot tell you how happy I am that they are finally gone. Cheers. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then I would suggest you check out my endless binge watch playlist, which includes hundreds of hours of ripe Reddit content just here on YouTube. In addition guys, I do have to ask you for a favor. Lately I noticed that many of my new videos don't reach my old subscribers anymore for whatever reason, and so it would be really awesome if you could click the YouTube bell icon just to make sure that all my videos will reach you. This is especially true for people that are subscribed to my channel for longer than a year, because for some reason YouTube doesn't feel like it is necessary to always push out my subscription notices to these people as well. So thank you very much in advance, and I hope you have a great day, and I see you again tomorrow.